Welcome to episode 132 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I am Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
We're back on topic this week.
For now. On topic as we can be.
We will be off topic once again next week.
Yes.
I swear to God, we're not actually trying to stretch out Zeta. It's just been a matter of timing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I happen to have 2 weekends in quick succession that I had to go out of town, so we got to pre-record episodes, and our logic with these is always that...
Yeah. Well, you also just got a new job. My job has been crazy for the past few weeks.
Yeah, so it's become a timing thing, and we kind of feel like with the traditional episodes, given that we do talk about news, we try and actually keep them as relative close to the actual air date as possible, rather than like putting them in the can 2 weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a bonus episode next week. I think you all know what it'll be about, but that will come later. Until then, we have some news to talk about.
We have a lot of news to talk about.
Yeah, because again, we were a week off, so there's lots of things to talk about. Shall we start with what we all knew was inevitable?
Tom Hardy continuing to grow a beard.
Yes, Tom Hardy continuing to look devilishly handsome with a beard.
Mm-hmm.
But he may now be part of the MCU.
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that is a potential consequence of Spider-Man once again being in the MCU. Okay, was anyone actually expecting this not to happen?
My fear was Disney was going to put in a bid for Sony.
I don't think so.
I think that was a lot of people's fear.
Why? They have nothing to gain.
They have Spider-Man to gain.
And nothing else.
White Tiger.
What's White Tiger?
It's another like
another Spider-Man character? No, okay, no. Outside,
I was thinking of like random.
Yeah,
Kraven the Hunter.
I mean, Kraven's great. Look, not trying to be mean. Outside of Spider-Man, name a property Sony has that someone actually would want. I feel like Sony doesn't want Sony properties.
Yeah, I can't. Excuse me, I can't think of anything.
This is what happens when Cameron drinks Dr. Pepper on the podcast.
I have been so tired. I needed as much sugar in my system as possible to get through this podcast.
You just came out of a kickball game. Mm-hmm. You're still dressed in your, I was going to say kickball fatigues, but no one calls them that. Uniform?
Attire.
Yes.
Wardrobe.
And most people would want water, Gatorade.
I have water.
Maybe a Pedialyte. Thank you for that wonderful. Actually, keep doing that.
No.
We'll make this an ASMR podcast.
No, this podcast is still above water.
Oh, you stole my dad joke.
I did.
How dare you? It's fighting words right there. There's only room for one not dad joker in this place.
Mm-hmm. And that's Dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. My dad. He's never going to be on the podcast. But no, I mean, I think Spider-Man was always going to come back to the MCU. Like,
yeah.
There was too much to lose for both parties in this whole thing. And at the end of the day, Disney could have gotten away without having Spider-Man back, and I think would have been worse off for it, but the MCU would have continued to thrive. People just would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
But Sony needed this.
Have they announced all of the terms that have come with it, or have they just given the blanket statement of Spider-Man still in the MCU?
From what I've read, and I'm sure I'm not 100% on this because I looked it up a while ago and it's been a little bit of time. My understanding is that Disney now gets 25% of the box office. On top of that, Spider-Man will be back for one more film to round out the home trilogy, whatever that ends up being. In addition, I think he's somewhere between set and scheduled to appear in one more crossover film. So probably whatever the next Avengers film is. Now, there might be more stuff beyond that that'll get negotiated. Who knows? But I feel like this was always inevitable, right?
Yeah. And at that point, just leave New York and then it'll be fine.
Yeah. And look, I'm very happy this is the way it went. I don't think anyone was really excited about a Spider-Man movie that not only would not be set in the MCU, but would have to actively ignore it, considering what a huge part it's been up to this point. I mean, even if the new movie really doesn't include anything Iron Man related, which I would kind of hope they would move down the line from that, it just it would be noticeable. All of a sudden, he's in the city, and they would have to cut out any references to anything MCU at that point, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
Even to the point of like characters, like you wouldn't be able to talk about Tony Stark, and I feel like even if he's not present, he'll get mentioned at some point. So, no, I'm super happy about this. But I guess they vaguely alluded to the possibility of more interaction between the MCU and the existing Sony films, to the point
the one existing Sony film.
What, Venom?
Venom, yeah.
Well, but they also made reference to the fact that Spider-Man's as they put it, the only hero that can jump between dimensions or universes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there might be something there. So I mean, look, if they were to do a Roger Rabbit style, like live action animation,
don't tease me like
Spider-Man movie, I would fucking love that. I think Lord and Miller are probably the few people on the planet who could actually pull that off and have it really work. But I mean, look, we're at that point now where it's a real possibility. I mean, another piece of news this week was we finally were getting our first look at the returning Supermen in the Arrowverse crossover. So we got to see our first look at Brandon Routh in the Kingdom Come Superman suit. Looks great.
Yeah.
I saw at least one person basically ask on Twitter, is this the best yet live action Superman suit? It's kind of hard to argue with that.
I think so.
It looks, I mean, it's like comic accurate. It looks good on him. He's been working out hard to get I mean, he's always been in good shape, but like to really get back up in Superman shape. But we got to see a photo of him in the full suit. We got to see a photo of him standing next to Tyler Hoechlin's Superman as well.
Yeah, that was weird.
I liked it.
It's cool, but we're going to see 3 Supermen in this movie.
Yeah.
In this TV show.
Exactly, because we got to see a shot of Tom Welling with the Tyler Hoechlin and I forget the actress who plays that version of Lois Lane, but you know.
Have you quick early tangent? Have you watched The Politician yet?
I haven't.
Okay. The guy that's running against Ben Platt in that show is Tom Welling 2.0.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen a photo of him?
No, but you bet your ass I'm looking it up right now.
I have literally been waiting to. I haven't texted you about it all week because I wanted to bring it up on the podcast.
What's the character's name or what he?
Hold on. Politician. His name.
Rival.
I think his name is River. Yeah. David Cornsweet.
The Politician, River. Looking him up. Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, I
mean, he's like somewhere. He actually looks somewhere between Tom Welling and Henry Cavill.
Yeah, and so even in the show, they make a joke of like, you can't just be Superman. It's like that's Tom Welling 2.0.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like is he English? Not that matters. Only the most recent Superman is actually English. But
I mean, he has an American accent in the show, so I don't know if it's authentic or not. But yeah, he came on screen and I'm like, oh shit, that's Superman.
Okay, I might have to watch this. I was hesitant to because I feel like Ryan Murphy can't write an ending.
Surprisingly, the way he set up season 2, I'm way more excited for that than what this initial show was.
Okay. All right, I might give it a shot. I mean,
it's very weird. It's Ryan Murphy. It's a very weird show. It's very much teenagers talking like, you know, people way older and way smarter than them.
Okay, so it's like a
lot of. I mean, they're all.
It's like an Aaron Sorkin teen drama.
Yes, it very much. It's very West Wing-esque.
Okay, I mean,
it's like
I do love me some Sorkin.
Yeah, it's very much because it's about running for the senior election.
Yeah,
and so it's the political game of running for election, while also having all of the crazy, unnecessary high school drama wrapped around it.
I mean, that does sound pretty spectacular, actually.
And they're all, you know, it's a very rich Santa Barbara school.
Yeah. And
so it's all millionaires.
Oh, my God.
Ben Platt's family is, you know, like this multi-billionaire family. And so it's, you know, it's them just throwing their money around for the election. His 2 brothers are just like these super douchey, like if the Winklevoss twins were just really dumb, that's who kind of these characters would be.
That's amazing. All right, I'll try and give it a shot. I'll try and squeeze in some time to watch it.
It was going to be my plug. I just wanted to talk about it.
Okay,
now. Just so we could talk about how beautiful this man is.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely gorgeous. He could very much be a Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so we're seeing all these characters come back. So it's like, I mean, we know how much everyone loves nostalgia right now. So look, it would be harder to do it at a cinematic level. I am saying right now, I'm not putting it off the table that at some point we might at least get cameos from Tobey Maguire and or Andrew Garfield in some sort of weird Spider-Man crossover
I
thing.
feel like Toby just would say no.
Like
Andrew Garfield, I bet would do it.
I almost feel like the opposite. I feel like Tobey Maguire now is what, by the time it would happen, it would be like 20 years, closing in 20 years since he last did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difference there is people, for the most part, look back fondly on those movies. I mean, everyone obviously lampoons the third one for its like absurdities, but most people still really hold the first one, especially the second one, in pretty high regards. And most people still really like his interpretation of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think at least Tobey Maguire got like, you know, 2 good movies. I'd say like 1 great movie, 1 good movie, and 1 bad movie. Whereas Andrew Garfield, I think, was doing a really good job in 2 bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
1 awful and 1 like fine and like
Yeah.
passable. So I almost feel like maybe Andrew Garfield might be slightly more cynical about it. I mean, this is pure fucking speculation. on
Well,
my part,
I'm just
but-
taking it from the perspective of Toby has had to live with these movies for so long. I just feel like he's tired of answering the same questions, doing the same thing about it.
Yeah, but I guess he's been away from it for so long. He might be able to lure him back. Because you know, if you were to say the same things about like, you know, like a Tom Welling did that for 10 years, like it's been long enough. You might be like, okay, it might be fun to come back and do like a brief cameo. Whereas I feel like Andrew Garfield maybe never got a chance to like close out his trilogy and like never got a sense of closure on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe in some ways he's like the forgotten Spider-Man. I feel like he'd be less likely to say yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm coming from the perspective of a bunch of my friends are working on the Friends 25th anniversary stuff right now.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking to my friend who's editing a bunch of the clips, and he's like, yeah, we didn't get any of the talent because every single one of them said no.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I get it because for them, they've been answering the same questions for 25 years.
Yeah, when are you guys gonna do a reunion? What was it like to be on Friends for so long? Were you guys
Yeah.
actually friends?
It's like, tell us something that like was super funny about set that no one else knows. Like, you guys have seen everything.
Yeah.
We talked about every minute on set at this point.
Yeah.
It's a set.
Yeah, I think some people just want to get eventually step away, understandably so, from this stuff, like when it's a big part of your life. But I don't know. I would love to see some Spider-Man crossovering happening in the future.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think they would be more willing if they were voices. I
Yeah.
bet they could get away with it. It's like if they appeared in that multiverse and not in our multiverse. So if they appeared in the animated version, not the live action
okay.
version. I think that they'd be more willing to do that.
That might be true. Yeah, it's a little. Plus, you know, not that voice acting is easier, but
Well, they also don't have to like get in shape again.
yeah, you know, they, like not mean that they would necessarily have to. Like, yeah, you know, Andrew Garfield still takes good care of himself, and you know, I think Tobey Maguire is still like pretty lean. And again, you know, it's like he's older Spider-Man.
I watched Gatsby again recently.
Why?
Just the first half.
Why?
Because the first half is great.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
It is.
Look,
It's gorgeous. That movie is so pretty.
I guess.
Go watch it up until
No, I refuse.
Up until
I hated-
Gatsby
I
meets
hated that movie.
like finally meets
Daisy.
Daisy.
No,
Once they meet, that's when it just starts sinking.
I can't.
But before
look.
that, it's like the beautiful, you know, turn of the century New York. Everything is colorful and bright and wealthy.
I cannot do it. Look, I really like Tobey Maguire. I think he was very miscast in that movie, in an otherwise very well cast movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because Leo is amazing.
Leo
is a great
everyone's super
Gatsby.
good. He's amazing. Michelle Williams is great. Oh no, wait, no, that's Carey Mulligan. It's Carey Mulligan. Obviously, it introduced us to Elizabeth Debicki, who's a fucking phenomenal actress, and I adore her.
Who's the husband?
It's Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, he's great.
He's also everyone's doing a really good
He's
job.
so good.
I think Tobey Maguire just was a little bit miscast, unfortunately, and just that movie. It's just so bright and so shallow.
Yeah, that's why you stop watching once it gets
No.
to the romance stuff.
I don't even need to bother with that.
It's worth it. It's a great 30 minutes. Great soundtrack.
Look, I have a cumulatively about 5 hours a week to watch
you're right.
TV.
You're right.
I am not gonna waste that much of it on the Gatsby movie. I refuse.
Understandable.
Okay, so but another piece of news. Did you watch? I'm assuming you did. The Birds of Prey trailer.
I did watch the Birds of Prey trailer.
Did it play for you in front of Joker?
It did not.
Oh, interesting. Because it did it for me at least.
I had this one trailer. It's Ed Norton's new movie where he I think wrote and directed it and stars in it.
Does he have Asperger's?
No, he's Tourette's.
Tourette's. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's him. When I saw the trailer, the way they introduced the characters, it's like it's all the actors that people hate working with in Hollywood.
Wait, so it's. Do you remember who all in it?
Okay, it's him and Bruce Willis.
Oh, that's right.
And then it's God, who's the other person? There were like 3 people in a row. That's like, oh, it's just everyone. It's everyone that no one likes to be on set with. Interesting.
Interesting.
Uh,
Like, I mean, I like a lot of Ed Norton's movies. I remember I watched the trailer for it, and it didn't really jump out at me. It's something like I had to go.
Motherless Brooklyn.
Mother's Brooklyn. Yeah, I just didn't like. I don't really care.
Oh, Alec Baldwin, Bruce Willis, Ed Norton, Alec Baldwin, Will Dafoe.
Oh, but people.
Yeah, I mean everyone loves Dafoe.
Everyone
Yeah,
loves Willem Dafoe.
but I mean the first 3 they introduced are Baldwin, Norton, and Willis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, interesting. Did they even talk once they said cut?
Maybe they all got along super well.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you imagine that, like, these guys probably did it because they know Ed Norton. I mean, because I know it's his directorial debut, and I feel like a lot of times when an actor does their first movie, they'll like kind of call in favors and people come in and out. But like, I remember when I watched that trailer, I was surprised by how warm Bruce Willis's performance seemed. Like, he seems like he's playing a character that's meant to be like a warm, positive influence.
That's why they kill him so fast. Because
I think that's
Bruce couldn't act for much longer with that.
I remember I watched that trailer. I'm like, oh, like I'm liking what I'm seeing coming out of Bruce Willis here. Like
oh, and then he's dead. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause, like, I mean, especially you go back to like his early stuff. Like, the man was super, super charming. I think at this point he's just a little bit like, fuck it, why? And I don't really blame him for that. But I was like, oh, okay, he looks like he's kind of warm. Just the rest of the movie didn't really seem interesting to me. But that's an odd choice to come along with Joker.
Yeah, I had weird trailers in front of Joker.
Okay, I pretty much had all the stuff you'd expect. But I mean, what did you think of the Birds of Prey trailer?
Let's call it what it is, the Harley trailer.
Yes.
I was a little upset because I wanted them to introduce the other characters. Like, I wanted them to say their names because we know who Montoya is, and we know the hyena, and we know
that is a good point. Actually, the only named character
that talked
in the entire trailer was Harley. Like, we get some lines from Ewan McGregor and lines from Cassandra Cain. But you're right, no one else is even named.
Yeah, and I feel like that's for the general audience. I feel like that's a disservice because now so many people are like, "Well, I don't know anyone else in this movie."
Yeah, it looked fun.
I do like that the hyena's there.
I love the hyenas there. It looks like kind of bright and weird. I think I'm not loving like the visual palette a lot. And I feel like part of that is because they are still having to deal with the fallout from the Suicide Squad aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you can't go too far from it because their version of Harley is so of that movie that everything around her has to be kind of like weird and like both like grungy but also like psychedelic.
Yeah. It has to embody Hot Topic as much as possible.
Oh God, you're right. It's the most Hot Topic movie.
It's the most Hot Topic movie
ever made.
Except, I don't know, Joker's going to be a pretty close contender of the most Hot Topic movie.
I disagree. Actually,
okay.
I think the Joker.
Right. Well, we're gonna get to it.
We'll save it. We'll get to it. Yeah, really gonna make you guys wait an extra week to hear our thoughts on Joker. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm not loving the palette visually. It's got kind of a weird tone, a little bit. I feel like if they were to make this movie without having to have any sort of reference to what happened in the Suicide Squad or that visual aesthetic or that tone, it would be stronger for it. But I feel like anything now that is still revolving around that particular tone and aesthetic set by Zack Snyder and David Ayer is worse off for it.
Here's how I would have done the marketing for this to make it a little more interesting, because everyone already knows Harley and her kind of character. Instead of making it a 2-minute trailer about just her, kind of make it a little fourth wall-y, where you have...
So it's like after WALL-E 2 and WALL-E 3 they did...
Yeah,
the fourth WALL-E movie, which really they brought the franchise back. Like,
it's amazing. It's amazing that we're still littering after 4 WALL-E movies.
I know they still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah,
eventually we'll get there.
They've ruined 3 Earths at this point.
Eventually we'll get to like WALL-E 5, Last Blood, and he's just killed everybody. And it's a paradise again.
I mean, a WALL-E Rambo crossover would be great.
I'd watch it.
I misspoke when talking to my friend the other day, and I said Anastasia, and it made me imagine a crossover between Anastasia and Hannah Montana.
Oh my god.
She's a normal teen by day, but by night she's a Russian princess with amnesia.
It's just Hannah Montana getting pursued by Rasputin. I mean, I've never watched Hannah Montana. I'd watch that.
Yeah. Instead of making it 2 minutes on just Harley, do like 40-second trailers from each character's perspective.
Oh, okay.
And so they're all dealing with kind of the same event. And so you have 40 seconds of Harley talking about what's going on. And almost do it, I think it'd be interesting if you did it like an interrogation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then you don't use any dialogue from the movie. It's just Harley being like, I don't know why everyone's looking at me about this. I didn't do anything. And then you show the clips like her getting the hyena, her beating up people. And then you can do one for Montoya. You can do one for Cassidy Kane, or Cassandra Kane, sorry, and then one for Black Mask.
Yeah.
And then for the very last trailer, you have them all in it together, where it almost feels like they're all in their own, because they all think they're in their own movie. Like in their mind, they're all the main characters. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, I don't feel like Harley is traditionally a fourth wall breaking character.
No, but I mean, you wouldn't incorporate it into the film,
right?
Anyway.
But there is this sort of like slightly meta-esque element to her that like, could be really fun, of like her narrating like the clips from the movie, like her, like even her introducing all those characters from her point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they could have been a little more ambitious.
You got this guy who's a loser, but he's kind of cute.
Yeah, you're right. I think that would have been a bit more interesting. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised that it's a little more traditional so far in terms of its marketing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially after Suicide Squad, where the marketing did a full 180. Oh my God. Not even, they did a full 540.
Yeah. I know, I didn't play a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, so I forget these things.
Yeah.
That movie was well sold.
Oh man, we fell for it so hard.
I remember even saying like, David Ayer's like a prestige filmmaker. He's gonna have a different totally. It's gonna be really good. It's lit in perspective, and then we're watching like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, is that the worst one? No, Justice League.
Yeah.
Justice League's definitely the worst one. It's like Justice League at no point is redeeming.
Well, I just remember walking out of Suicide Squad and still feeling okay about it, and like every step I took away from the theater, I could just feel my satisfaction dropping. It's like when I made it to my car, I'm like, wow, I hated that.
Yeah, I remember you and I came out of it together. We're just like, why?
Yeah, and when we walked out, I'm like, that wasn't that bad. It's like every word is like, oh, no.
And it's like, oh wait, but then there was this.
No.
Yeah, and then anything involving the Joker. We'll get to Joker next week. All right.
This podcast is just a giant teaser.
It's just
the Joker.
Just setting it up. One thing for me, I just want to acknowledge they released the first poster for Bond 25, aka No Time to Die. Looks great. Bond looking grizzled in a fantastic tuxedo in front of this really bright, beautiful blue door. Text looks amazing. I'm all here for it. Cannot wait.
Did you see the? Because I forgot I have one piece of news. Not even news. Just like a bit video. It was Taika Waititi and Ryan Reynolds acting like it was the first time they met each other.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's so great.
I should
because they're in another upcoming movie together.
Yeah, I think he directed it, right? Taika, not.
No,
I guess no. He didn't. No, I guess they're just in it together. Yeah, that's right. Because Jojo Rabbit obviously is.
Yeah. No, so it's the two of them, and then the two other leads of the movie. And Ryan and Taika are like, wow, I mean, it's amazing to finally meet you for the first time ever in our lives, in our career, meeting first time.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, backstage. I mean, I've been talking like I wanted to meet this guy for years, which has never happened. We've never met before. And then the other two are like, no, you guys were in Green Lantern together. He's like, I've never heard of a Green Lantern movie. Are you talking about the Green Hornet movie? Well, I'm not Seth Rogen. Do you think I'm Seth Rogen? They're very. The two of them just.
They're so charming.
Exude chemistry.
They're so damn charming. I know. I need to go watch that little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I have here, the Kingsman trailer.
Yes.
So the third film in the Kingsman franchise. This one being, of course, a World War I set prequel with the great Ralph Fiennes in there.
What's he find?
We're not doing that.
You cut it out last week.
I did. I got it out. I'm cutting it out again. I'm cutting it out again this week because I'm fucking determined to make that sketch. I'm determined to make that sketch happen at some point. So, but
I
yeah,
listened to last week's episode.
I'm amazed you did. Now we're gonna have to cut all this out too. No one will ever know you actually listened back to one of the episodes. But yeah, I mean, it's got we got Ray Fiennes in it. I love.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
All right, look, Cameron had this long-running bit about Ray Fiennes that I'm not going to get into on the podcast.
Yeah.
But
we have got, let's say this. We have gotten into it multiple times, and I just found out he's been cutting it out every time.
With good reason. And
Sure.
With good reason.
So there is a hidden joke in this podcast that I am determined to sneak in at some point.
Ray Fiennes. Look, I love him. This trailer looked really good.
It does.
Now, to be fair, I mean, first Kingsman, great film. Second one, I rewatched it again not too long ago. Not a great film. Looked great off the trailer. Mm-hmm. Matthew Vaughn, though, I'd say has more hits than misses.
I'd agree with that.
I feel like I would say that Kingsman 2 is kind of his only miss, right? I mean, I remember Layer Cake being good, although I've only seen it once. I didn't really love Stardust, but you know, it's pretty good for what it is.
Stardust.
It's all right.
That was the 2005, 6.
So I would say like maybe 2000
around there,
7 or so.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean,
it came out like around the same time as Enchanted.
Yeah, I think so. Kind of around that same time. Yeah. I mean, it's a stacked cast. I think I plugged it on the podcast not so long ago, but it's Charlie Cox from Daredevil. It has a young Henry Cavill in it. It's got Claire Danes, Mark Strong, of course, Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, wow.
Like it's a really good cast. I wasn't super taken with the film itself, but like you can see the talent.
Yeah,
You see Matthew Vaughn's talent there.
From what I remember, there was some other movie that was also kind of like this off magic world.
Ella Enchanted?
Yeah, it might have been Ella Enchanted.
Yeah.
That I saw instead.
That's fire. I've never seen Ella Enchanted. I know it's Anne Hathaway. That's all I know. And I think it was like the book was read to me once when I was a kid, like as part of a class. I don't know. I vaguely recall it.
It's just the same story as Wacko's Wish, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what you just said.
You don't know Wacko's Wish?
Oh, Wacko's Wish.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said. I just said yes.
Yeah, Wacko's Wish. It's the Animaniacs movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I actually haven't seen that, to be honest.
It's great. It's a great Christmas movie.
Okay.
I recommend it when
I
we
will
get
add
to
to
the
my list
season.
of Christmas movies this year.
Yeah.
But no, like I think the trailer looks pretty good, and I am willing to give Matthew Vaughn the benefit of the doubt that maybe he learned a few lessons on the last movie, which I think ultimately just suffered for being a bit too bloated. Hopefully this is a little more pared down and a little bit of like a cleaner, simpler narrative.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm super excited about
And
it.
I think it's I don't know if it's easier for people writing films when you don't have to like constantly think of new inventions, whereas they can kind of just rework current inventions to make them work in the past.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's probably easier for the writers, so he doesn't have to focus too much on that.
Sorry. You were saying something.
That was the end of my thought. Tickety tap
I know.
tap click click.
I'm a terrible listener.
It's fine. We just started our first podcast.
It's fun. I can edit it.
Yeah.
Wait, fuck, that's more work for me.
You can make yourself the hero always.
I mean, I do. I absolutely do. Every single episode.
Is that it for news?
Yeah, I think that's it for news. Why don't we get some Zeta here?
Great.
Yeah, so first episode this week is On the Wire. I love this episode starts out with them going into Comic Con.
I am so angry. It's the same complaint I had last time. They have this amazing setup.
Yeah.
Have the entire episode be a Comic Con.
Yeah.
Have Zeta win the costume contest. God damn it. It's so easy.
That's going to be the high stakes scenario of the whole episode is whether Zeta is going to win the costume contest.
No, he's going
or
to
not.
win it accidentally. He's going to transform backstage
Yeah.
to get away. And then he's like, they're going to think that he is part of the contest. They're going to push him on stage. He's going to win.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to catch him, is he's going to be in the spotlight.
Right. It's like, oh my God, it's a Synthoid. Everyone run.
Mm-hmm. Or they have it where he's not. They shoot him with who's the new agent? I forgot her name.
Rush.
Agent Rush. She hits him with the device that stops his cloaking.
Yeah.
And so he, as the robot, wins the costume contest.
Oh, that would have been good.
That's the story.
That actually would have been good of like him hiding out amongst a bunch of robots, like
Yeah.
cosplay robots. See, like, you're absolutely right. Like, because the broader point of the episode is that Ro finally meets up with her long lost
Yeah, but that's
older
not
brother.
important. Let's talk about the Comic-Con stuff.
Like, there actually is a lot to talk about the Comic-Con stuff because like it starts out with him and like whatever, pretty generic like speeder chase, but they end up in Comic-Con and you're like, oh, like we're gonna see this version's future like Comic-Con. And at one point, they do go in disguise as the lead actor and actress from, I wrote it down, it's Dark Owl and Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl, yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, they went in disguise and then they get attacked by the NSA. So I was expecting all the nerds to like get mad and like attack the agents or some people to think
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, or maybe some people all of a sudden thought it was going to be like this weird like performance element that was like happening in the middle of the con, or like they try to hide amongst robots or in a comic like a costume contest. Like there really was all this really interesting potential they
Wes
set up.
could have accidentally tackled the real actor.
Yes, exactly. Like they really kind of put themselves in what could have been a really interesting space, and they're out of it almost instantaneously.
I think they wanted to just make fun of, because that was, I mean, this was what, 2002.
Yeah.
So the culture was just starting to boom.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is still
Early.
This is still a good like 7, 8, 9 years before like it became impossible to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah. So G4 first started recording from Comic-Con in 2006.
Okay, yeah.
So this is 4 years before it's kind of
Getting
accessible to the public.
Exactly, getting anything kind of mainstream.
Yeah.
But also my question is, why do the writers of these shows hate themselves / their own fans?
I think they're just so easy to make fun of.
I guess, but I mean, like, there's such soft targets, and look, I mean, I guess we're also at a point now where like nerds kind of rule the world in a lot of ways, and so like the cliches of like, oh, like the nerds are just like overweight with glasses and bad hair and total dorks doesn't apply because they're like sexy nerds now at this point. Like everyone just like can embrace whatever thing they love and be totally accepted about it. But every time
they're all just Cole Sprouses now.
Yeah, oh my god, they're all just like delightfully dreamy, dark, broody Cole Sprouses. But every time we've had a nerdy character appear anywhere in the DCAU, they're portrayed like this.
Yeah.
I always think about
I think, you know who I think just hates nerds? I think it's just Bruce Timm.
I think Bruce Timm does.
I think everyone.
Nerds.
I think the artist will make like a normal looking person, and they'll have them at the con.
Yeah.
And Bruce is like, no, that's not who annoy me. I want to see the people that I hate.
Yeah, he's.
Well, I draw these weirdly sexy women behind scenes.
Yeah, I mean, like,
did we ever talk about that on air?
Oh, his
erotica book.
His erotica book.
Bruce Timm has an erotica book.
He does.
That you can still buy on Amazon.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a revelation for me to find.
Because you sent that to me and I looked at it and it was really, I didn't know how to feel about it.
It's weird.
Well, I mean, just the idea in general is kind of weird, but it also like...
It's so fitting for what he's doing now to all the DC movies.
I was more thinking like for me, it was just a weird thing because like when... Like it reminded me of a time when I still would have been like titillated by that.
Yeah.
Both the cartoon element and also the fact that it's mostly women, or pretty much all women that he's drawing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically he just draws like pinup girls in the Batman in the BTOS style.
Yeah, like it brought me back to a time in my life when I would have been excited by
like
animated
searching
women
for it.
Yeah, like so that was just this weird like bizarre nostalgic moment for me. I'll link it in the show notes. You guys can go check it out. I mean, look, he's a great artist.
Yeah,
and he knows how to draw women so they are very, very sexy. But it's so weird.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Like someone told me about it before I looked it up. I was talking to someone about our podcast. Yeah, and like, oh, have you found his erotica book before? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's a little bit bizarre. Yeah.
Okay, so they leave Comic-Con.
Yes, but they spend nowhere near enough time at Comic-Con. Probably the other thing I thought was super interesting is, so they walk into a building and then we cut to a clip of a movie, a show, something with these characters of Dark Owl and Squirrel Girl. We then come to realize that actually what it is a visual comic. So in this future, these comic book stories are being told in a weekly serialized version, almost like comic books, but they're actually produced movies, like produced entertainment. And that actually is a really interesting idea. And I think weirdly prescient now. I could see that eventually kind of happening.
Well, do you remember, I don't think they do it anymore, but when, it's probably about 10 years ago now, when comics would team up with iTunes and they would do their like digital moving comics.
The motion comics.
Yeah. I don't think those exist anymore.
I think
maybe, I hated them.
Yeah, I think I checked out one or two of them and it just felt a little bit weird.
Yeah,
a little bit
I remember them because at Comic Con, it was like everyone wanted to do it at the same time. So every booth was giving out their free motion comic.
Yeah.
And I remember I had the first issue of Watchmen as one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be a particularly weird one, I think.
Yeah.
But, we are getting towards more bite-sized entertainment, right? The length of stuff is getting shorter and shorter. We're getting, like Quibi is a brand new platform specifically designed around that idea. Do you think this might end up being something in the future where, say like DC Comics, they now have like their iPad app and they realize that, oh, well, maybe like a future iteration of DC Universe is that their superhero shows are now not 45-minute long shows or even like 30 minutes, but they're done in like 10-minute bite-sized chunks that are released on a weekly basis, like on a platform almost like a comic.
Potentially, I think that could be. I just don't think... I mean, for me as a viewer, it's hard to fully engross myself in a story if it's cut down to like 5 to 10 minute snippets. Yeah. But I mean, I think they could definitely do it just like with the cartoons.
I mean, we're already kind of there a little bit. You look at Brave and the Bold. I was watching a couple episodes this morning. It's like, like that always has the cold open, which is completely unrelated to the rest of the episode. But even now, I've seen little bits of Justice League Action, which I think is done in I think every episode is maybe 2 or 3 shorter kind of in media res, jump in, quick action thing. So already a single episode of that is a few of those strung together.
Yeah, the 7-minute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but I would be curious to see if that eventually, are we going to get back to the point, maybe, do you think, where we're getting short serialized content the way we used to with like the early movie serials, like the early Superman cartoons, even? Like, do you think we might come full circle to some degree and get back to that point?
It depends on how fast a writing staff can work. So in anime, how they do it is they have a few weekly shows that go on every week forever. One of them being, because you had most shonen shows have this. There's not really seasons. They just follow along with the manga.
Yeah.
So One Piece, for example, will usually take 2 weeks off a year. So 50 weeks of the year, they're giving out new 20-minute episodes every week. Yeah. Man. Bless those animators.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And it's all hand-drawn still, right?
Yeah. But the reason they can do that is they base it off the manga, which is usually about 50 to 60 chapters ahead. So what they're animating is basically the panels from the manga are their storyboard and kind of their keyframe. So they just have to hit those pieces and then just kind of fill in the blanks. And you can tell when they have less to work with because it's the joke from Dragon Ball Z where it's a guy just charging up for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible to do like an indefinite serialized show like that. You just need the preparation.
Yeah. I mean, look, we talked about this a little bit with Hush and also in terms of The Long Halloween, but it's like, instead of doing a 80-minute long adaptation of Hush, imagine if they had actually more or less done like 13 12-minute long episodes.
So just make an episode per each comic.
Yeah, like basically for those I think for a perfectly structured comic story, and I would look at The Long Halloween, look at Hush as one of those where the idea of it being told in snippets over 13 parts in that very serialized manner really plays into the story, given that it's a mystery and we're learning so much as we go along, and cliffhangers factor a lot into that, and reveals and red herring stuff like that. Imagine that being just like directly translated. And look, and I don't think that things need to be directly translated. I think that adaptation is actually a critical part of the process, and change is a critical part of that. But
so you're a big fan of the Joker then?
love it. Absolutely love it to death.
Great.
Yeah. Next week, guys. For us, a mere like hour away. For you guys, next week. But I mean, look, I would be curious to see what that version of Hush would have looked like. I would be curious to see what that version of Long Halloween would look like. So I don't know. I'd be kind of cool to see that.
For looking from the studio perspective, I'm just curious, like, when they're showing the numbers to the shareholders, is it more impressive to see, a movie got this many? I mean, if we're still basing it off the DC Universe analytics, is it more interesting? Is it more potent? Use that word.
Potent?
Yes.
The not real word potent?
Yes.
Is potent?
Sure. Potent for shareholders.
Portentous?
No.
Portentous?
More important for shareholders to see a big number for a movie of like, we had this many viewers opening weekend, or is it better for them to see like we had this many viewers for the first episode of this mini series, this mini 20-minute series that will eventually fall off?
I think they still want to see box office numbers. Again, we keep talking about Joker, but not talking about Joker. I mean, like every Hollywood Reporter article, the like email blast that I got this weekend was talking about the box office results and that, like the crazy box office results on it. And I think that is still, no matter how you cut it, that is still going to be the metric by which entertainment success is going to be measured for a while.
Well, I mean, but that's why I use DC Universe as the example. There's no real box office connected to streaming.
Well,
it's just the engagement.
Yeah, well, that becomes a whole separate thing of, when everything is being broadcast on these OTT platforms that are owned and operated by the studio that's making the content, they don't have to release the numbers. It's like infamously Netflix, we only on their really, really major hit movies and shows will they put out numbers, and even then, like, they're not direct comparison. It's just like the number of viewers or something like that, or like the number of times something's watched. But
then you get into the definition, like, what is a watch?
Well, yeah,
on YouTube, it's 20 seconds is considered a view. On Facebook, 5 seconds is considered a view.
Yeah, that's a whole separate thing, and
so that's why when you're on Facebook and you see a video has 2 million views, that means 2 million people watched at least 5 seconds of it.
Well, I mean, and you do social media marketing. I used to do social media marketing, and that became a big thing when, I was helping edit pieces that were going up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and it became a big question of like, how do we get viewers in early? How do we keep them? What's our retention looking like? Retention looking like?
Yeah, and that's why trailers started to do that 5-second
little blip.
Yeah, the burst trailer.
Yeah, so you know what trailer you're watching, and you decide whether you actually want to keep watching it or not.
And for the analytics, those are always 5-second bursts.
So it gets it counts as a view. Yeah, so I mean, the thing is I mean, ultimately what we're talking about is that the numbers aren't necessarily going to be put out there for a lot of this stuff. So I think how a company defines success internally is going to be one thing. How they broadcast their own definition of success and share that externally is a whole nother thing. So I don't know. It's very unclear where things are going to go.
Yeah. You know what's also unclear on where it's going to go?
This episode?
Yes.
This episode of this podcast?
Both.
This episode of Zeta that we're supposed to be talking about in this podcast?
Yes.
All of the above. Yeah.
So Ro meets her brother.
Well, yeah. Once they leave Comic Con, Bucky comes back and tells him, "Hey, I have a surprise for you. I've found your brother. Here's a video chat you can have with him." Turns out the brother, Casey, works for a news agency doing text news. That's the whole thing, is that he still like writes up the classifieds and the last bits of news that are still written.
But he's also a reporter, because he at the very end of the episode he wrote the article about Zeta.
Yeah, well, because it's text, so it's like it's like the lesser news stuff because it's not vid news.
Yeah,
but his boss is like the big vid news guy, and it's like, oh my god, your long lost sister is part of this wanted fugitive duo with a synthwave robot. You should go meet up with them, and then we'll make a story out of it. And you're an irresponsible journalist if you don't take advantage of your long lost family member for your own personal gain.
Exactly. But I mean, in Hollywood, that makes a lot of
It
sense.
actually does make a lot of sense. Yeah, always exploit.
It's like, wait, what do you mean you didn't write a screenplay about this? What are you doing?
Why even bother? Why live if you're not going to write about it?
Exactly. Or podcast about it.
Mostly podcast about it, clearly. But yeah, so they go and meet up and they have like a really nice time, and Casey's got stories of like their grandparents, and
Her nickname was Little Bulldozer.
Bulldozer, because she just bulldozes her way through things. I love too when she's asking questions about their life together. It's like, yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know why mom like left us our grandparents. Like, well, what happened to our grandparents? Like, oh, well, they were old. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Totally, they're dead. They can't say. They just died.
They went to a farm up north.
Yeah, they went to the grandparents' farm.
Yeah.
They're playing with our dog, too.
You mean the retirement facility? No.
No, not quite.
No, just the farm.
Yeah. I did like this episode was set in San Francisco, although I don't think they called it San Francisco, right? Didn't they call it something else? It was like Bay City or something like that?
I think so. Yeah, I think Bay City.
Yeah, but so we had some trolley cars. We got a nice trolley car chase, a runaway trolley, as must get thrown in there, pulling from the rock a little bit on that one.
Yeah, we had West in all of his glory, where
oh my god, yeah.
So it's West and Rush see them get on a trolley, so they fall. Oh, so the producer, the kind of vid news producer, calls up Bennett and the NSA to help them catch Zeta, so they have a better story to write.
Yes.
So while Casey and Ro are at lunch, the NSA is kind of surrounding them.
Yes.
So they get on the hover trolley. West's job is to stop the trolley, and
Rush even says, "What? Don't you know how to do that?" Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And so for a second, I'm like, "Oh, he's just gonna play dumb and he's not gonna hurt the robot." No. It takes him 3 seconds to just dismantle the robot. Continuing, we need an episode for robot rights.
Oh yeah, robots are very, very abused.
Yes.
I was trying to look up the name of the city. I can't find it in the episode description. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, like he basically accidentally causes the train car to go crazy, which then means Zeta has to stop it. And then
I enjoy that he drops him in a street fish cart stand.
Oh, of course, yeah. And so then eventually Agent Bennett basically tells Casey, like, hey, if you help us bring in Ro and Zeta, I will drop all charges against your sister and you guys can be back together.
Yeah, because Casey is worried about Ro and her working with a fugitive.
Yeah. And so they decide they're going to have a meetup on top of an observation deck at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. I think that it does not exist for good reason.
Yet.
Still for good reason. They get up there and then they're immediately surrounded by NSA and
a news chopper.
Hover cars
Yeah.
that have the sound of a chopper still.
Yes, I very much appreciated that.
Just
so we knew it was flying.
I love that ridiculous detail of like still having just the classic helicopter sound of a thing with no propellers on it whatsoever. And then there's like, I thought a decent-ish set piece of them like running around along the cables on top of the Golden Gate Bridge. It was very A View to a Kill, which I of course enjoyed.
I didn't like the pacifist way they handled this of Casey just getting in the way of the missiles.
Oh yeah, it's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like fly in front of your hover car.
Yeah,
whoops.
I didn't. That was boring to me.
It also just it just felt a little bit clunky because we know he was trying to help his sister, and then as soon as they get up there, he's just like a total asshole to everyone. You're like, oh, is he like legitimately just doing this for his own glory? And then eventually we come to realize like, oh no, he's like deliberately messing with them. But the fake out felt weird to me.
I think we needed, in their earlier conversation, we needed like a little story about how they trusted each other, and when they were kids, they had this safe word they would use where like, pinky swear, no backsies kind of.
Like the handshake from the Parent Trap.
Yes, they needed some kind of verbal cue to know like, hey, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for the greater good. Yeah. So then that can come back in this moment, because at this moment it's like, hey, Ro, come with me, just trust me. Yeah,
it's like, hey, just trust me. Go ahead and get into the hover thing.
Yeah.
And then,
or even a moment between Casey and Zeta.
Yeah.
Where like, hey, I know you're dangerous, but you seem to be taking good care of Ro, and Ro seems really like traveling with you. I would never do anything to break that up.
Yeah.
And so have something from that conversation come back to where Ro doesn't even know that, but Zeta, Casey says something in the hovercraft, and he kind of signals to Zeta, and Zeta kind of pushes Ro towards them.
Yeah.
Of like, I'll be okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it needed a more effectively laid out dynamic to come into play there. Because as it was just kind of like,
Yeah.
and then like they get away and by sneaking onto like a police boat and driving off into the fog or whatever. And then Bennett's like, "Hey, Casey, whatever your name is, I'm gonna have my eye on you." But then he clearly doesn't, because Casey just like really lazily and obviously embeds a video that anyone can click on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone can click on it into like the text news.
Yeah. So think you're when you're watching this, we're a child. We would be children, and you would potentially see an ad in the newspaper for a tiny bulldozer.
Yes.
I would immediately click on that.
I know, like, oh my God, I want a bulldozer.
I want a bulldozer. Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of children, probably even Bucky.
Yeah. They probably don't listen to or read the tech news, I guess, the text news.
That's true.
But still, I mean, it's not like it's actually like a sneaky place to hide things. And Casey says, we can stay in touch by, hiding messages to each other in this thing that no one ever bothers to read. It's like, well, the NSA is going to read it.
Yeah.
Because they know you guys are talking to each other.
Exactly.
But at the same time, the NSA is probably not going to read it because they're stupid.
No, they're going to put West on it.
That's true.
He's going to click on everything else.
Yeah, he's going to get distracted. Now it's going to happen. Nothing's going to come out of it. But, I mean, I liked that they finally brought in the brother into it. And
Finally,
well, I think we talk a lot about these episodes having some potential they just don't execute on. And a lot of times it has to do with the set pieces or like a theme of the thing.
What if we made it a two-parter?
Oh my God, Cameron, we're not even going to entertain this notion. But I liked that they finally brought in a little bit of that, having the brother come back in right as the show is very, very close to ending.
Yes.
Only mere episodes. I think we have three more
episodes, yeah.
Yeah. But any more thoughts on this? Should we jump along to Cabin Pressure?
Oh, I did not like that episode. I think that's pretty much all my notes, yeah.
All right. Are you like actually paying close attention to these when you're watching them?
No.
I'm really not either.
Not anymore.
I find myself now like brushing up on news while I'm supposed to be watching the episodes and like totally missing a lot of what's actually going on.
Well, right now I immediately fell off the wagon, but there's a thing every October. Either people call it two things, either Inktober or Drawloween, where you have 31 days of drawing prompts, and a lot of my friends are doing it this year.
It's not 31 days of talking with a Southern drawl.
I could do that if you want me to.
I think you should.
Well, brother, that's what you're gonna get in this episode. So I immediately fell off the wagon after the first day. So while watching these episodes, I was trying to get catch up on my drawings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't really paying close attention. I don't remember most of what happened in this episode.
I took pretty good notes on this one.
Okay, I mean, I know that. What do you tell us what happened actually, Cameron?
Well, now,
Southern Cameron.
Cabin Pressure is the NSA finally realizes that Bucky has been hacking into their mainframe.
Dropped out of that so quickly.
I know. I can't talk fast when I have my Southern drawl on.
I mean, you don't have to talk fast.
Yeah, I just want to get this episode over with.
That's fair. We really just want to get it through.
The NSA finally realizes after months that Bucky's been hacking into their system.
Shocking.
And so they go and basically arrest him.
Yeah.
And we learn that Bucky has put a safeguard system inside Zeta that if he's ever in danger, a message would pop up through Zeta.
Yes.
Be like, hey, guys, come save me.
Help me, Zeta.
Yeah, you're my only hope.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Is this a Star Wars episode?
Yes, it is.
Great.
But it's a sequel to Solo.
Great. Amazing. Or is it? No, it's a prequel. Bucky's a younger Han Solo.
That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not Han Solo. He's just Han.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
He's Han. I don't have a family.
Yeah. He's Han, kid genius.
Han, no one.
Mm-hmm. So Zeta wants to rescue Bucky. They're
out hiking.
Yeah.
When we meet them and like, you guys are fugitives. Do you really ever stop to go hike?
Right. You have a very singular mission Ro just finished her mission. She found her brother. She found her family.
Yeah.
Are you even still looking for the doctor for the
I don't think they are.
for Selleck?
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
I don't think Selleck is hiking. That's for sure.
no. So then they have a moment where Zeta gets to do like a weird outdoorsy fashion show, and then they go and find Bucky on this like massive transport fortress.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of plane stuff that happens.
Well, he turns into a repair guy.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, so I had a quick story to tell about that. There are 2 YouTube videos kind of about the same thing, and it's like how easily it is to sneak into places if you just look like you're working. And so they have one group of guys has a bit where they carry a ladder wherever they go, and just see like how many places would stop them if they just carry a ladder in.
Yeah.
And the answer is none. No place stops you if you look like you're fixing something carrying a ladder in.
It's a damn good point.
Yeah, which is great life hack.
Yeah.
The other one was 2 guys that would that bought the reflective vests, and it's the same thing. You just walk right in.
Now, did they try to wear both a reflective vest and carry a ladder?
No, it was 2 separate groups.
Oh, really?
This is gonna be a collaboration though. Yeah.
A good old collabo.
But the 2 people in the vest got very ballsy because they tried to sneak into Disneyland like that.
Ooh.
And that's the only place that shut them out.
Yeah.
Because they got into the San Diego Zoo, just wearing the vests. And I'm like, damn, these guys are good.
That is really good. Where are you going to try and sneak into now, Cameron, wearing a vest?
Oh, I bet I could get into Universal. Maybe not Disney, but I bet I could do Universal.
Well, they basically pay you to attend the park at this point.
Yeah.
As a patron.
That's true.
So-
As someone that lives in a 5-mile radius. Like,
Yeah.
Why don't you come here?
Yeah.
Just pay the $20
Please.
for parking.
Please.
Yeah.
No, you should totally try and sneak into like a premiere with a ladder and see what happens.
Yeah, I'll just go to El Cap.
Yeah. But you can make it happen.
I think so.
I believe in you. Yeah, so they sneak onto the plane.
Which is like a secret government ship, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand a lot of what Bucky was saying to Bennett.
No, it has like he was just like listening to all like the cool like high tech things that he had clocked on the way in and out of the thing. And they're basically just trying to get Bucky to turn on Zeta, and he's just being his petulant little self that he loves to be. One thing there was a couple things I did like about this though, little nods. I liked that they brought back the remote.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually clever, and I thought they referenced it, and then they didn't bring it up for a long time. I thought maybe they wasn't going to go anywhere, and they actually find it, and they try to use it to control Zeta for a hot second. I liked they brought that in. I also liked
because it gave the episode a lot more urgency. Because like they're not going to hurt Bucky.
Yeah, it adds some stakes. It makes the world feel a little bit more fleshed out and consistent.
Because I forgot about the remote.
I totally did too. So I liked they did a callback on it. The other thing I liked is Ro makes a comment about Bucky when he gets captured. She says, "Oh, what did he do this time? Like shrink a city or transport evil aliens to Earth?" And I was like, "Hey." They actually reference the fact that aliens do exist in this universe. I mean, it was kind of an offhand, flippant comment. But at the same time, if aliens at one point existed and are not super present anymore, which they seem to be at this point in our future, it probably would just be like an offhand flippant comment. Like, yeah, aliens exist, but you never deal with them, so what does it matter?
Right, yeah.
Do you think something happened, and this is maybe a good question for our dear friend Manny Washburn to investigate, do you think at some point in the DCAU timeline, something happened to then make it so aliens stopped coming to Earth?
Yes, I do. I think when Lex Luthor became president, he built a space wall.
He built
keep our planet clean.
He built the massive bubble shield from Spaceballs around the Earth.
Yes, he did.
The problem is he also set the combination to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So plenty of aliens are still getting in.
No, the combination is I hate Superman.
It's the easiest password to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even with Batman Beyond, now admittedly, when that show was written, the world hadn't expanded out quite a bit yet, but there's really not a lot of alien influence in there at all, if I recall, right? Like even the Justice League is comprised, except for Barda, it's all Earth beings.
Except Barda? Oh, the new yes, sorry,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
that
I mean,
Justice League.
Warhawk is half Thanagarian.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, because the Green Lantern is not. Is he human?
Yeah,
Okay,
because he grew up in Tibet.
that's
But-
right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, well, that's part of a comic. I don't know if that's part of the continuity at the time. But I mean, yeah. So I feel like it's clearly at some point in the history there, like the Earth must have turned inward on of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like at some point the world became more like suspicious of outsiders and people that are different than each other.
That's too hard for me to imagine.
No, that's never gonna happen.
That's too much science fiction.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, they're in this
Ridiculous, I say.
massive ship, and that they're trying to transport Bucky on, and they show up and they grab him. I did like that one of the engineers was dressed like the Thunderbirds. The original uniforms from the Thunderbirds from the 60s, but that was kind of fun.
So Rush finds the remote, gives it to Bennett. Bennett takes control of Zeta. And just so the viewers know that Zeta is under control, they make him walk like a zombie.
Yep. In case you couldn't figure it out.
And I'm like, that's
And
fucking
then
dumb.
West had gotten distracted by Bucky, who told him he would tell him how to beat a video game.
Yes. Which, to be fair, I would do the same thing.
How old is West supposed to be, do you think?
I don't know, but he looks when he is standing next to Bucky, they are brothers. They are 100% brothers.
Yeah, they're like 3 years apart.
Yeah. You know what it is? Bucky is the successful clone of West. It's like the Fly. No, it's that situation where they split the personality in two.
Yeah.
And West got all the dumb genes, but it was a government. Here's our West theory.
Okay.
It's a government experiment that West put himself in. He was a great agent before.
Okay.
And when he split into an older dumb self and a younger smart self. But since it was the government's fault, they couldn't fire him, so they have to keep him on the payroll.
Oh my god.
And that's why.
And then Bucky escapes.
Well, no, Bucky escapes is just happenstance of keeping the dumb version on the payroll.
West accidentally let the smart version get away.
Yeah, well, because the dumb version doesn't know.
That's true. As plausible a theory as there could possibly be.
Yes.
But West gets distracted, and then Bucky like sabotages the ship, so all of a sudden it goes haywire. So West gets like trampled by a bunch of boxes, and then he goes chasing after Bucky. And as soon as he loses Bucky, he sees Zeta zombie walking in the hallway, and then he shoots and causes a massive decompression to happen inside this ship. This flying fortress that is easily burst open by a very basic laser beam.
Yes. Which, yeah, it makes sense.
Of course, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Zeta gets sucked out, and then Ro and Bucky like steal an escape pod. That whole ship reminded me a lot of the flying wing from the first Captain America movie.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
I saw it as closer to like a Star Destroyer.
I mean, there's a little bit of that too.
Especially when it's flying over the city.
Yeah,
Because you see how big
like
it
it's
actually
huge,
is.
like a
Yeah,
shadow.
I mean,
Also-
it's a cruise ship.
Also, I do love it because the explosive decompression happens, and Zeta gets sucked out along with the remote. And then Bennett calls the pilot to let him know what happened. The pilot's like, "Oh yeah, hang on, let me activate like the decompression force field."
Why is that not always
Yeah,
on?
shouldn't that thing just be automatic?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Yeah. And then wouldn't you immediately begin like emergency landing procedures?
I mean, they were flying over the city. There's no place yet.
Yeah, but then you veer off and go wherever you can.
It's a big city.
Yeah. Should have a big airport then.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
They can just commandeer a military base? I don't know. It all just felt a little bit silly.
Yeah, well, so it wasn't over once Ro and Zeta, Ro and
Oh,
Bucky got
yeah.
the
Escape
escape
pod.
pod, because then Zeta attaches to it, and the pilot accidentally hits them straight on with an EMP.
Oh, but you forgot about the part where Rush and Bennett put on mag boots and gloves
excuse
to
me,
crawl
you're
along
right.
the fuselage of what is at least now a subsonic traveling ship to try and grab Zeta, who is clinging onto the side of it with his hook hands.
Yes, his sharp fingies.
Yes, and then he like sits on top of the ship, and yeah, and then they get hit by the EMP.
Yeah, so they're about to crash, and somehow Zeta powers the ship back up, I guess.
He's a robot; he can do it.
Yeah,
He can do it all.
They made his power just vague enough
Yeah.
that his R2D2 hand, because this is just a Star Wars episode.
It basically is. Now, I will give them some level of credit that I felt like in these last 2 episodes, they were trying to incorporate kind of bigger action set pieces than they had in the past.
Oh, it feels like they are wrapping up. Because these last 2 episodes have been much big. Like, they've been so close to getting caught now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the NSA is like really, really on top of them. And the whole scale just seems to have been elevated a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily well executed, but I can at least appreciate that they were trying to be a bit more ambitious in their finale set pieces rather than just having it be a tornado.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
It's pretty bad.
And so they kind of wrapped up Bucky's story because Bucky is now also wanted by the NSA. He's now a 13-year-old fugitive.
Yeah.
And so Ro asked him, like, hey, what are you going to do now? How do we get in contact with you? And he's like, oh, well, I have an uncle who's part of the underground tech world.
It's going to go chill with him.
I'm just going to live with him.
Do you think they were ever considering doing a Bucky spinoff? Bucky 13 going on 30 to life?
Sure. Yeah. It's good.
I mean, that seems like a pretty severe punishment for some light hacking.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, aiding and abetting
A fugitive. Yeah.
That's a pretty big one.
It's nowhere near as bad though as aiding and abetting a fugitive. That is
Aiding and abetting
that is a very harsh punishment that comes with that crime.
That's death penalty for sure.
Instant death penalty. No trial.
Abetting is a huge problem in
It's a very
America.
serious thing. We don't even like to talk about it. It's such a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely feel like they're steering towards a conclusion here, which is coming up pretty damn soon.
I know.
Essentially meaning we have 2 more episodes of Zeta.
We're almost there.
We're very, very close. Here, I mean, in its own weird way, this has been kind of fun talking Zeta because we're just kind of like shitting on it the entire time. But the better thing to think about is that we're this close to static.
We're so close to static.
We're so close
and
to
I'm
static.
and I'm worried at this point that I've built it up so big.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a handful of the episodes, and the ones that I remember loving.
Yeah. So
Like the pilot, I think is an amazing pilot. It's very topical. We meet some of the Bang Babies. Yeah.
it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. We're closing in here. Almost done with Zeta. I don't know, any more thoughts on it, or should we get into some notes from friends here?
Let's get into some notes from friends.
Okay, I don't really have much this week, but we did, of course, get a message from our lovely Ashley Clark, who had just finished listening to our franchise episode, a really random franchise episode that we did.
Honestly, this is the one I think I was most excited to talk about, was the franchise episode.
Yeah. I
listened to it.
I know, which is shocking. I was really genuinely shocked when you made a comment about the fact that you listened to it. How did it sound? How did you sound?
I still hate my voice.
You want to start editing? You'll get over that real quick.
No.
Don't worry, I still hate the sound of your voice too.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good. I know, because you don't listen anymore. You don't listen to me, Chris.
I don't.
No, because I've brought the question up to a lot of other people now, and yeah, everyone basically says Sam Jackson is.
Yeah, I was just listening to the Weekly Planet when they were talking about Stallone, like his filmography. I still think though our take on that was pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair compromise. Of like by the numbers, it's definitely Sam Jackson. But
do you like, because for me, after recording that, every couple hours I'll think of another actor. And I'm like, damn, that would have been a good person to talk about.
Well, along those lines, Ashley wrote in with some people that we missed.
Okay.
So she suggested Cate Blanchett, Jennifer Lawrence, and Meryl Streep.
What franchise is Meryl Streep in?
So guess what I did?
You looked at Meryl Streep?
I looked up all 3 of them. I
Great.
ran some numbers real quick.
Okay, so for Meryl Streep...
Let me see if you can get Meryl Streep.
Mamma Mia.
Yes. And we have done an episode...
Mary Poppins.
Yes, those are the 2.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, those are the 2. I went through her filmography.
I feel like Cate Blanchett would have a couple.
So yes, I mean, Cate Blanchett actually has a lot. But Meryl Streep then had 3 movies between the 2 Mamma Mias and the Mary Poppins.
Do we count her in the second Mamma Mia?
Yes. I didn't actually see it, but I know she's in it technically.
She's not. There's a picture of her.
I thought she actually appeared.
No. Cher appears.
She's credited though. Doesn't she appear as like a ghost or something like that? Like a ghost, but like
a force projection.
A force projection.
Come on, it's not a ghost because it's a force projection.
But I thought she appeared in like a some sort of like dream sequence, something like that, or like.
It's a scene from the first movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're doing like a flashback and flash forward thing.
Okay, well, to be fair, having not seen it, I can't qualify.
Yeah.
So do we?
But sure, we'll give her 3.
Okay, we'll give her 3. Jennifer Lawrence, of course, has 2 big franchises.
X-Men and Hunger Games.
4 from each.
Yep.
So I mean, 8. That puts her pretty high. I mean, I think that puts her
the highest on the females.
Let me double check this actually, because I kept our list. That would put her. So Scarlett Johansson we had as 11.
Okay.
So she was the highest, and then Zoe Saldana was 11, and Sigourney Weaver was 9. So I mean, it puts Jennifer Lawrence gets right up there amongst the big contenders.
So how many's in Kate Blanchett's obviously in the most recent Oceans.
Okay, so do you want to hear all of them?
Sure.
So 2 How to Train Your Dragon movies.
That's right. She's the mama.
1 Oceans movie. 1 Thor movie.
Right.
1 Indiana Jones. 2 Elizabeth movies. 2 movies about Queen Elizabeth I.
Okay.
Puts her at 7. Plus 6 Lord of the Rings movies. She is in all 6.
Dang.
So that puts her at 13. That ties her with Zoe Saldana.
I thought you said Zoe was at 11.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, that puts her in the top.
Yes. Oh yeah, because Scarlett Johansson was 11. Sigourney Weaver was 9. Zoe Saldana was also 11. So actually, yeah, that makes her Kate Blanchett is the most franchised actress.
Yeah, and that's a lot of franchises too.
Yeah, it's a good spread. Yeah, I love Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, she's great.
I really, really love her. So that was a good call, Ashley. That miss in particular is a pretty egregious one because she has been in so many movies. But yeah, that's basically all we really had from notes. Anything major from notes from friends this week?
Nice.
What sort of plugs do you have, Cameron?
Well, I brought up The Politician already.
Yes.
Which is great on Netflix. Recommend it. It's 10 episodes. 10 40-minute episodes.
That's not so bad.
Yeah. Great stories. There's a very weird character in there. His running mate, the kind of the understory is people questioning if she actually has cancer or not, or if she's faking it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very almost uncomfortable storyline.
Oh, interesting.
So I've been watching that, and there's a plug that I know you're not going to watch, but it's super interesting.
Okay.
It's a show called Vinland Saga.
Oh my god, it's called what?
Vinland Saga, Vinland Saga.
Okay, thank you, because I have to now hunt this thing or whatever the fuck this thing is.
It's on Amazon. It is a Japanese anime interpretation of the Norse-English War of the 11th century. Historically accurate.
That might be the single most niche.
It's so fascinating.
I've ever heard of.
Yes.
Wait, so it's animated?
Yes. From Japan.
Okay, so it's a Japanese animation about, say it again, the
Norse-English War of the 11th century. So the war over England between Norway and so the Norse king and the English king.
Yeah, so the Norse people and what the Anglican?
Yeah, the Anglos.
Anglos, thank you. That one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's fascinating because it's every character in it is a real person. Was a real person in history.
Okay. So is it a narrative? Is it like a scripted narrative show about this? Like, are there made up characters? Like, every character is an actual historical figure. So is it more like historical fiction or what?
Yeah, it's kind of every character is real, except I don't think the main character is a real person.
Okay.
But everyone he travels with, I have looked them up, are real people.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and so there was King, I think his name was King Canute, Cunate.
Okay.
Also known as like Canute the Kind, and he was the king of England who like unified all of these tribes together, and like the only time England ever had peace ever was under his rule. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking badass. Like, we get to see this character. But yeah, so you follow this kid whose dad, who was a real military general, he was murdered by someone else, and so the main character is traveling with the guy that murdered his dad and because he wants to be the one to kill him. He wants to get revenge for his father.
Okay.
And so he's kind of traveling through the years as this group of Vikings is kind of bouncing in and out of the war.
Wait. He's traveling with the guy who killed his dad.
Yes.
Does the guy know that that's that kid is, or is he hiding?
Yes.
Oh, why would he let him be there and be alive?
Oh, because he just doesn't care. It's some just random kid who just wants to be. I think he feels bad for him because his dad was like this amazing general.
Yeah.
And he killed him in kind of a more underhanded way. It wasn't an honorable death.
Okay.
And so I think he feels bad for the kid.
Okay. So he just lets him hang around and be like, I'm going to kill you. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So the show kind of bounces between you because they only fight during the summers because they can't fight during the winters.
Oh, that's fair.
So it kind of bounces from summer to summer.
Okay.
So you kind of see the kid grow up super fast.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's a very unique show, but I'm digging it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That does sound pretty cool, actually.
It does. And it's none of the anime tropes that you hate.
Okay.
It's a very serious show.
Vinland Saga.
Yes. The first character you meet is Leif Erikson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Vinland is what the Norse people called America. That was what Leif Erikson deemed America was called back in the day.
Yeah.
So Vinland Saga is all these people wanting to travel to this mythical land they don't know about, like they don't believe is real. They think Leif Erikson is making it up.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, that actually does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess.
How'd you find it?
A YouTuber that I follow posted a video. He's like, "Hey, everyone needs to watch this."
Yeah.
Because I guess the manga's been going on for years, and it follows multiple different characters through kind of this whole like 200-year span.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a very interesting. I'd never watched like a historical anime before.
Yeah.
And this seemed like just a really cool place to start.
That is a cool place.
Yeah.
That's really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. And it's very pretty because it's well animated.
Yeah.
I think it's Studio Bones, maybe. It's not
Okay.
important.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm learning.
Aw.
Yeah.
It's like almost like reading a book.
It's almost like reading a book, but there's action scenes.
But there's pictures
But
and
there's
action.
moving pictures.
Yes.
Lots of blood. It's very bloody.
Okay, what one would expect?
Yeah.
It's Vikings.
Yeah, they're awesome. What have you been watching, listening, reading?
I mean, we've alluded to it a lot. I don't have a lot of free time these days because of work. So I find myself rewatching stuff that I've seen before, just to kind of have in the background for fun. And as I have alluded to other times, I love movie scores.
Yes, you do.
That's like when I'm working and I'm really diving into something, I put on my movie scores, and so it's John Williams, Michael Giacchino. I recently started re-listening to the Pirates of the Caribbean scores.
Ooh, good choice.
Which are amazing. So Klaus Badalt did the first Pirates, and then Hans Zimmer took over and kind of brought in his own stuff, and then incorporated some really great stuff. I mean,
He's a pirate.
Yes, he is.
And the most famous song.
I think that was still Klaus Badalt.
Okay.
But, so when Hans Zimmer took over, he brought in like the Kraken theme, which is a Kraken theme.
Shut up. Shut up. I fucking hate you.
Did you legitimately have to stop and think about that for a hot second?
Yes, I did. I hate you. You're the worst. I'm done with this podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. You can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Gmail, and and Spotify.
The pause there. Man, we were both really bad listeners.
You can find me at CamDexter_Adventures.
The
and
pause there made it so worthwhile.
You can find him at Lordifer on Gmail and Twitter.
But
you can tell him how bad of a person he is.
Okay, but look, the Kraken theme is amazing. I forgot actually that his At World's End score is possibly his best.
Oh, interesting.
There's some. It's really, really beautiful. And then I didn't remember this, but when it got to the point of them doing On Stranger Ties, it's Hans Zimmer, but working with this other composer, Rodrigo Gabriela, who I had come across him.
He's done something big recently, right?
I think so. Like, I mean, he's amazing. It's got these fantastic like Latin themes to it. So basically, the Stranger Tides.
I thought that was just like whenever Penelope Cruz walks. I thought that was just the music that
yeah,
plays.
that's basically it. That's him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie for a long time. And
He does Penelope Cruz's personal score.
I mean,
Personal life.
if there's someone who deserves to have a personal life scorer, it's Penelope Cruz, and it should be Rodrigo Gabriela, who's amazing. But I didn't realize that's who it was. So it's a collaboration between two of them. So a lot of it is him doing a Latinized version of the Pirates themes, and it's a fucking amazing score. And then the fifth one's like kind of okay too. But I was re-listening to these, going, you know what? I kind of want to go back and rewatch the movies. So I did watch the original three again. Obviously, the first one still holds up. Fucking classic.
Yeah.
A great action movie. Super character driven. Fantastic. The second one is actually pretty solid. It's got some really good set pieces. The whole sequence of them in the cages on the cannibal island is really good. Obviously, the three-way sword fight of them on the island fighting over the heart and like the chest, or the key to the chest.
Yeah.
Them going into the building and the wheel and all of it. Like, really great set pieces. Again, the score is really good. I think the characters are good. I think Davy Jones is a great character. The second one's really solid. It just is.
Well, I feel like that's where I think that, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like that's the movie that started the two-part
finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Back to the Future did it way
I guess
back
that's
in
true.
the day.
Yeah.
But this idea of like one story broken up over two parts.
Well, with Back to the Future, the story was over, and then it was more of like a cliffhanger. Because they kind of resolved all of two.
They did mostly.
Where with this one,
I will give you that.
Yeah, they kind of end with more questions than answers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stuff in there, like that final shot of them realizing they have to go back and save Jack, and the music chimes in, and Barbossa comes down the staircase and bites the apple. Like, that's fucking great.
That's great. Yeah,
it's a really good cliffhanger moment. I find that movie still really entertaining. That third one, though, I just rewatched it. Like,
I think it has, from memory, has some great moments.
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
It is so boring. Like, it is a movie that is trying... it is a movie that is setting up some really interesting ideas. Like, they have like the Brethren Court, like the Pirate King, all this sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. The idea of them having to release Calypso from human form. Calypso! Like,
you have to say it like you love her.
Like, there's...
Calypso, darling.
Calypso.
Would you please come here?
That's how you talk to lovers?
That's how that guy did.
You're doing your best, Rigetti.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff in there, but it's the second one gets a little bit too messy and like, everyone's kind of constantly betraying each other and everyone's got their own agendas and we're just jumping back and forth across ships. That all the third movie is just that happening nonstop. And then eventually they have that one cool moment of them doing like the parlay on the little stretch of sand out in the water.
Yeah.
And then like do another twist yet again. And then they're all heading towards this final battle, and Barbossa releases Calypso, presumably because he struck a deal with her. That's implied, but never stated. She gets released, grows super tall, becomes a bunch of crabs, starts a maelstrom, and then that's it.
Yeah.
They don't do anything with her. Also, they set up this whole idea of like this broader court of pirates who are not part of the finale at all. I completely forgot about that. It literally just comes down to the Flying Dutchman and the Black Pearl like battling it out. And like that battle sequence is pretty well done for the most part. It's like pretty well orchestrated. Gore Verbinski is really good about allowing you to follow kind of convoluted set pieces. Mm-hmm. But it basically just, they set up all the stuff for this third movie, throw it all out the window to then resolve all the stuff that happened in the second movie. And it just doesn't really feel like a payoff. And then still to this day, I'm deeply bothered by the fact that they kill Will and then make him become the new captain of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah. Because
we spent the whole first movie getting heavily invested in their relationship, and then by the end of the trilogy, they're essentially separated.
We got to leave them wanting more.
Well, but here's the other thing, too, that really bothered me going back through it again, is that especially in the third movie, Elizabeth Swann becomes a captain of a pirate ship and then becomes the Pirate King. And by the end of that movie, she's relegated to being a single mom living on an island somewhere.
Yay.
Like, and it's like they really set her up as being like this total badass. Like, she gives the speech that rallies the troops, and she has a spirit that a lot of the other people around her don't. And it really becomes a shame that then she basically sleeps with Will, gets pregnant, and then does nothing for the rest of her life. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's a fucking shame. Like, you kind of look back and think, how great would it have been if the movie ended with like Elizabeth being the captain and Will being like her Gibbs or whatever, like her number 2, and like them having an adventure together as a couple with her being the one in charge. It would have been amazing.
Oh, I see it as the two of them rule the seas from opposite ends. Is she continues to be the pirate queen, and he still gets to be the head of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah,
like that I'm fine with. But now they're kind of these star-crossed lovers that, you know, together they are the most powerful couple, but they can never physically be together.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that could be like, you know, that's kind of like a bittersweet.
Right. It's tragic but potent.
Yeah.
Now that could have been interesting. It really is a letdown by the time you get to that third movie, because the second one actually is pretty good. I think because it's an incomplete film without a lesser sequel. Yeah. It's hampered a little bit by that. But like I said, there's some really good set pieces.
Did you see On Stranger Tides?
I've seen both the I've seen 4 and 5. It's and then Dead Man Tell No Tales.
Yeah.
I wasn't super taken with either one of them. I kind of want to go back and maybe revisit.
I think 4 is the worst of them all.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what people say. I remember 5 being like pretty meh too.
I thought 5 was okay. Yeah.
But you know, I will say this: if you've ever been feeling like, hey, it might be fun to go back and like rewatch those, watch 1 definitely because it's amazing, and 2 is actually pretty damn fun. And if barring that, just go listen to the scores. Yeah, they're really, really good. So, I guess those are my plugs: is 2 decade plus old franchise film series and scores, but they're really solid. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Great. I already did all our plugs for us while you were laughing.
That's true. we don't have to do anything else. We're done. Yeah. But no, do them again, Cameron.
If you want to reach out to us and talk about Chris's horrible puns and how bad they are for the environment, you can tell him at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Gmail, Instagram, and
the one you don't use,
Twitter. That's the one. If you want to reach out to me and send your apologies and condolences that I have to live with this every day, you can send me your delightful, heartfelt messages either at Cameron.Dexter or at CamDexter_adventures. And if you want to attack Chris personally,
as all should,
yes, you can reach out to him on Twitter and Instagram at Lordifer.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
You remembered. But no, thanks for listening, everyone. And as we keep promising, next week,
it's Joker time.
Joker time.
It's funny time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real laugh.
All it takes is one bad day or 2 bad hours.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks. Bye.